Hey guys, Coach Taylor here at Pack Baseball and Softball Academy, and this is another great episode of Inside the Dugout with the Pack, and we've got special guest Mike Ostrom, coach from Texas, in a homeschool high school program that he runs, something that I think is incredible, and it sounds like he mixes a lot of faith with baseball and everything else. So, without any other misrepresentations of you, coach, we'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself to the community.
Hey, thank you, Jason. Much appreciated. Yeah, we've been doing homeschool baseball since my boys were sixth graders, which goes back about 10 years. And you think, some people, I remember the first game I ever went to. My boys were in the sixth grade. We were playing a combo seventh, eighth grade team, and the other team was walking up, and they were walking past me, the dugout. I was the only guy there, a couple of kids out in the field. And we were playing against a school, and the kids were saying, "Yeah, we're playing the homeschoolers today. I bet they make their own uniforms." And they were just kind of making fun. I laughed because that is actually a pretty funny comment. But that year was, we played okay, played 500 ball, but homeschool baseball in Texas is special. I mean, I'd say, 2/3 of our players go on to play college ball. They're on scholarship. We've had maybe 8 D1 kids over the last 6 years. Some years we'll have 3. Sometimes we won't have any D1 kids for a couple of years, but it's a high quality of baseball. And I know we'll talk a little bit about faith and God and Jesus and all the things that some people don't like to talk about, but we put it all together. So that's a little bit on homeschool baseball in Dallas and us.
Yeah. So the organization that you run is called TACA Storm, and that stands for
the Texas Alliance of Christian Athletes. And if you were to poll the 100 kids who are 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and then 9th through 12th, we've got 2 varsity programs, 2 JV, and 4 middle school teams. If you were to ask them, what does TACA stand for? I think 30% would know that stands for the Texas Alliance of Christian Athletes. So we just call it TACA baseball. It's easier to say, easier to do, and that's who we are. So, yeah.
Very cool. So you said you started this when your kids were in the 6th and 7th grade?
Well, we started with homeschool baseball when they're in the 6th and 7th grade. And in Dallas, there's probably, I'd say we run a tournament right now, and there's 42 homeschool teams that are a part of it. Now, some of them are varsity and JV. They'll enter both. So those 42 teams represent within Dallas, within about a 6-hour drive of Dallas, there's probably 25 to 30 homeschool baseball programs. So we were with a different program at the time. And the thing that we really liked about TACA, and that we moved over there after 3 years, is it gave us the chance to hire professional coaches. And no disrespect meant to me as a dad coach, but we'd rather have dad coaches supplementing a guy who played college or pro ball. And that has always been our model, is we can get a head coach whose last name isn't a son or daughter on the roster, and move on from there. So that's our MO. But yeah, they started with TACA when they were in the 9th grade, and we were playing homeschool baseball since they were in the 6th grade. And that's pretty much where it starts around the country. But you're right, Colorado, there was a team about 5 years ago that came to a big tournament, and we haven't seen them since. It's just, there's not a ton of teams in Colorado that I'm aware of. I'm not aware of any actually at this time.
Yeah, I'm not either. And I'm pretty big in the Colorado area, and have been coaching in this area for the last 26 years. And I don't recognize this, but this is a really cool model. And my wife's been teaching in the public school system for the last, I think she's been in teaching elementary school in Aurora Public Schools for 27 years now. And even she recognizes that there's this shift going on where parents are fed up with the quality of education in a public school system. And so kind of talk to us a little bit about the benefits of doing the homeschool, and are you associated with homeschool accreditations or those things? How does that work if you're a parent who's thinking, hey, this might be a good idea because I can get a good education and my son still gets to play baseball?
Yeah. So people who are new to homeschooling, it's intimidating. It's like trying to do your own taxes. It's probably not that difficult, but man, that first year is like, what am I going to do? Or what if we screw it up or do something wrong? And, we violate an NCAA rule. So we help them. We walk them through the process. I think this year we had 4 young men at the high school level who started homeschooling for the first time. So within our probably 60 kids, 60, I'm sorry, about 55 players in our high school program, 4 or 5 of those new to it. And we just walk them through it and say, there's a lot of different options. We strongly encourage it to be parent led and say, we introduce the moms typically to each other and say, what are you looking to develop? What does your son need? What works best for academics? Following Christ and baseball. A lot of people, they're like, yeah, I'd love to, if I can do homeschooling in 4 days or 4 hours a day, show me how to do that. We can do it at home, online, get expert teachers. It's a hybrid of a lot of different things you can do. And basically we then open that up and say, we want a parent directed model. Here's how you do it. Here's how some of our other parents have done it. And they've designed, and the comment I hear over and over, Jason, is, I wish I would have known this 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 8 years ago. It was so simple to put together. We help them through it. And we're not the only one. I'm sure other organizations would do the same thing, but it's not that difficult. In fact, we're talking about Colorado. There's actually a young man in Colorado who flies down and lives here, Dawson Dowland, from January through April, and he plays with us. They've got a homeschool program that his mom supervises, runs basically, and he lives here for 4 months out of the year with his mom. His dad comes down, once a month for a week, and so they don't miss him. But it's been great getting to know Dawson from Colorado. He's just outside of Denver.
That's very cool. Very cool. So the traditional way of doing things is you go to high school, you play for the high school team, you've got the different levels, so you got that. How does that look for somebody who wants to join an organization like yours? Like, is there tryouts? Are you trying to see if they fit as a student and as an athlete, and maybe as somebody who is in the church or a Christian or a man of faith?
Yeah. If even though the name is the Texas Alliance of Christian Athletes, it doesn't mean you have to be a Christian or follower of Christ to be a part of the program. If you're a sinner, we want you. That only people who are allowed are sinners when you're just fine. And so with that, it's very similar to the public school and private school system in that we play probably 30 to 40 games a year. We'll play public schools, we'll play private schools. We have tryouts, and I'd say we usually, people will email us or they'll go online and submit a form. Once we get to about 10 players, we have a tryout, and we obviously are looking for players for our team. And then we have probably 4 buddies in the DFW area. Like I'll call John with the Crusaders or April with the Wildfire and say, hey, we're having a tryout. Can you or an assistant coach come? And we'll come and we'll evaluate 10 kids or 14 kids and say, these 2 look to be really good fits. These 12, not so much. But we think you 12 can find a home. April with the Wildfire or John with the Crusaders, what do you think? They're like, man, I love these 6 kids. I'd like to offer them today. So we get in front of the parents. And so when they leave the tryout, 2 kids are probably going to get offered from TACA, and the other kids, most everyone, there's some place to play. It might be at the rec level. Our level is, we're looking for kids who are interested in playing college baseball. And so that's how the tryouts work. And we probably have, 10 tryouts over the summer, about 1 every 2-3 weeks. As soon as we get to 10 kids, let's have another tryout. Let's have another tryout. So that's how we work it.
And when you first came on, before we started recording, you talked about one of your fundraisers today. So when you're bringing kids on and you're having them go through this homeschool and playing for your teams, can you walk us through a little bit of that? What does fundraising look like? It sounds like from your website I was looking at, you guys do some community and interactions, as well as some maybe a camp or an experience with each other. Talk us through some of that.
Yeah. So I'll start off with, and if I forget something, I'm 58. So if I forget something, say, hey, what about this? I might miss something. The fundraiser we're doing right now has to do with mulch, and mulch are those wood chips that people put in their flower beds. There's also compost and soil, but most of it is mulch. We buy it for about $2.50 a bag. We sell it for $6 a bag. They will spread it for an additional $3. And the short of it is that we have about 450 customers that we've acquired over the last 10 years that need mulch. And every year they look to us. We're about 40% less than landscapers, and they love the boys doing it. And so they spread the mulch, and then they do about a 45-second presentation saying, like today, my name is Travis Richmond. I'm a sophomore with TACA Homeschool Baseball. My goal is to raise all of my money. Our team fees are $980 for the spring season, then a couple $100 for uniforms. My goal is to make all the money so my parents don't have to pay a dime. And then part of the money we raise, and I think I set one aside here, part of the money goes to fund these soccer balls. And I know we're a baseball team, so you're like, why? How does soccer come into play? Is it, we think it's great for these boys. And this is not a fundraiser for the team. The team doesn't need the money, but the boys will get enough money to make $500, $1,500, whatever it is, to pay for everything. And we use about 10% of the proceeds, the profit, to buy these soccer balls. And you probably can't see it, but it has Bible verses on them. And we send them out with missionaries. So the first 30 missionary groups that are going to, you name it. I mean, they're going to Haiti, and we'll send it in Creole. If they're going to Africa, we'll send it in Afrikaans, or any one of there's 20 languages in the areas that the missionaries go to. If they're going to Mexico, obviously Spanish, or wherever they might go. We're trying to teach the boys it's great to work, and you be responsible for paying for your own baseball and glove and bath, which are incredibly expensive. But we also want to do something that furthers God's kingdom and help people. And these go basically to communities where kids don't have anything. And when I say don't mean anything, when these go flat, they roll them up. And when the missionaries come back a year later, they see these balls all rolled up with rubber bands, and they're kicking around a flat ball. So we're trying to teach the kids, do something for yourself, be self-sufficient. Paul in the Bible was a tent maker. He was self-sufficient. We're teaching boys to do the same thing. And then share the gospel. And there's a lot of different ways to do that, but that's one way we do it. And we'll volunteer. Have you heard of the Operation Christmas Child, the Franklin Graham ministry, where you stuff the boxes?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we'll volunteer at that, parents and whatnot, and then go out for mandatory In-N-Out burger. So everyone kind of fellowships together and eats. We'll go to Feed My Starving Children, and we'll stuff food baskets for that. And then whenever we have the time and inclination, we went a few years ago to the Dominican Republic and played some great baseball, shared the gospel, brought them thousands of pounds of baseball equipment and stuff that you would probably throw away, Jason. Like, this is a junk ball. That literally is a game ball in the DR. And so it really opened our kids' eyes. And my boys went, and it's like, I mean, some of the conversations we had driving around the DR were, can't believe that kid wears that, lives in that house. How does he make it? How does he eat? Living in these shanties, it's a big time eye opener. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And I love that you do that. We have a coach come into our community where we support coaches, and he's from Uganda. And he's always sending me these videos of his kids working on drills, and they're pitching, and it's always in a field or on the side of a building, and the building is a relative term, it's a building in Uganda. And then he said these farmers or whatever it is will donate some land, and then you have a little field where you can go and practice, and then they play each other. They don't even have usually when he sends this video of them playing, they do have something that looks like bases and stuff. But when you see this, you're like, wow, this is crazy. I mean, they got literally wood sticks and wooden balls, and they're playing with this. And I'm just like, this is amazing. And then the other part of it is his academy down there, the Braves Academy in Uganda, will actually feed these kids. So they get their schooling, they get food, and they get to participate and learn baseball. And it's pretty cool. And as an athlete, as a kid, going out to see those things makes you feel really grateful for the $500 bat your dad bought you, or maybe you earned the money to get it, or your glove or whatever. Anymore, you could spend $1,000 without even thinking about it. And if we send $1,000 to these guys in Uganda, it's like you gave them $1 million. It means the world to them.
Yeah. You mentioned the just the sticks and whatnot. We went as one of the outreaches, we went to a community and it wasn't really a baseball event. We played some high level baseball. The first day we were there, we played a team and we beat them probably, 8-2, something like that, handily. Well, the next day, the next game, it was much older kids. They had mustache. We're like, oh, the word is out. We had a much harder time the rest of the trip. But we're in a village, and it was more of an outreach event. Hey, let's go hit the ball around. So the kids are hitting the ball around with a stick, just like you said, and with kind of a makeshift ball. And then one of our kids kind of looks over and he does a double take. There is a legit, Texas Longhorn looking thing walking 20 feet from him. And he's like, he starts running away, bull, bull. And in Spanish, they say, oh, no, no, no. The steers come out. They graze during the games when we're playing out here. And he looked and he goes, man, can I play a different position? So we moved someone else to right field. He came in and played third base. But man, there's two legit Longhorns. Big old horn just within 20 feet. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? But it's a different world, brother. You said it.
It totally is. I know when I'm out there with the girls and we're playing an early spring tournament and the sprinkler system comes on, and you would think it would be the end of the world, right? And then you're like, yeah, our problems are not really problems if you look at it.
They're first world problems. Yeah. They're first for pro problems, coach. Yeah.
Awesome. So when you're coaching these, so remind me, are you actually coaching with these additional coaches? Because I know you said you were the dad coach, but tell me about that. What's your role in this?
Gotcha. With the two varsity programs, we're trying to hire guys who know more about baseball than I do. So a guy named Jacob Salem runs our Varsity 1 program. He played at IMG Academy, was a state champion in high school, played D1 ball at Oral Roberts. And I won't list every coach in our staff, but that's what we're looking for, someone who played a high level of baseball. And so he's our varsity coach. I coached our varsity team, I want to say, for 4-ish years as the head coach after my boys graduated, or while they were on the team. And then after they graduated, we had a paid coach as well who was making the lineup to make sure that, my son wasn't playing shortstop and lead off and, pitching and all the daddy ball things that everyone can't stand, to make sure that's not happening. So, my role now is I try not to coach, but if someone is sick or whatnot, hey, coach, can you come coach third base for us for this JV game? Or, hey, Varsity Black is playing Prince of Peace, and I'm going to a recruiting visit. All right, coach, you go to that recruiting visit with your son. I'll take care of third base. And so I help out where I can, but I will probably coach more actively in the coming years when my boys get out of college. But it's been a hybrid thus far. But I've tried to work my way out of a coaching job and hire people who know more than me.
That sounds fantastic. So it sounds like you're really sold on this homeschool coaching and playing model, right? So if I'm a parent, I've got a young man who's getting ready to go into high school, and I'm trying to decide, do I send him to high school or do I keep him home and homeschool? And then what does sports look like for me if I do that?
Yeah, my advice to that person would be perform due diligence, talk to someone who's done it well at the public school level, private school level, and then homeschool level. And I would introduce them, just say, what's the family that's closest to who we are? Well, you've got 5 kids and, here are the ages. And that's all right. I'm going to put you in touch with this family who is in that world, and just talk and say, here's what we've done. And if this is a good fit for you, and here are the benefits, here are the cons, here's the hard work that comes with it. And so they can talk to someone who looks like them, acts like them, has the same number of kids. And it's like, okay, I didn't know anything about homeschooling 5 years ago, but I do now. And they're giving advice to someone who this is impossible. I could never homeschool. And so just let them listen. And, what are your long-term goals? Do you want to play D1 ball, JUCO? What is it? And how can we help you get there? If it's not with us, then, the public school system, it could be it, but maybe we can help you supplement the program in some way where, this is something you consider down the road, or you work out with one of our training programs, something that we've looked at the IMG model in Florida, loved it, and have developed some things that are really help taking our players to the next level.
That's fantastic. And IMG has been around for a long time. So I had a question for you, Coach, and it was specifically along the lines of, and that's just me stalling. So the question was, you have a kid from Colorado, Dawson, right?
Yep.
Playing for you guys. How did Dawson find you guys in Texas?
Yeah, we just put out some advertising on Facebook a couple years ago. Hey, if you're interested in homeschooling and baseball, want to come to Dallas, we've got a model that helps you pay for your expenses. He pays the same fees everybody else pays. Some of the kids who've come here in the past have just lived with a host family for a while, and they don't really pay much for that. Maybe a little bit in food, but no rental fees. And so he just found out about us on a Facebook post, that sort of thing. And they came down and tried out. I think he was a seventh or eighth grader at the time. We could, let's keep in touch. And then his ninth grade year, he came down and had a wonderful year. He pitched for our varsity 2 team as a freshman. This year, he's pitching varsity 1, and he's getting field reps, a lot of field reps on varsity 2. We're going to graduate about 10 varsity players this year. And so next year, I wouldn't be surprised if he and others like him are, full-time starter, center fielder or outfielder and pitch from time to time. But he's a special young man. And he's not, you think, oh, he must throw 88, 89. No, he's probably 82, throws 3 pitches for a strike. He's a smart kid. He's not perfect. He threw a gem the other day, came in, 2 guys on, we're down by a run. He holds the fort and then shuts them down for the next 3 innings, faces the minimum, and we end up winning by 3 runs and extras. Just a fun experience for him. Whereas right now in Colorado, it's colder in February than it is in Dallas. So that's the model. But we've had kids from Michigan, Iowa, Florida, Illinois. Arizona. One of our kids last year came in from Arizona. He was a homeschooler. He just committed to Ole Miss. That's a big school. That is a legit D1. So there's been some high-end kids, and some kids won't play post-college, post-high school rather, but most of them do.
That sounds fantastic. So one of the things that we talked about on a previous call, you and I, was the level of competition in your organization. So talk a little bit about that. If I'm coming from Denver, if I'm coming from Kansas, if I'm coming from a regional area and I want to travel and send my son out to play for you, what can I expect?
Yeah, I would say typical velo for a varsity 1 or varsity 2 game would be 78 to 88. Our varsity 2 team, 89, 90 the other day. That's a little higher than normal. There's a young man we'll play against at Prestonwood Christian Academy. He hit 103 miles an hour the other day, and our guys are fired up. Now that's an anomaly. We don't see a lot of 93, 94, 95 and on up, but we'll see, I'd say 78 to 88 is probably 80% of our games. It's high level baseball. Every team has a kid who's going to some college. Some have, everybody, like that PCA game I was mentioning a moment ago. Every kid on that team will play or has the opportunity to play college baseball, and most of them D1. And I'd say 2 of those won't even make it out of high school. I think there's going to be 28 scouts at the game on Thursday, Friday. So it's a wonderful opportunity to get looked at. They might be coming to see the kid throwing 96 for another team we're playing, or a kid on our team who's a sophomore throwing 90. Okay, well, and you get noticed because you're a part of that. So we don't have scouts at every game by any stretch, but they're there enough that it really gives them an opportunity to shine.
And this can be a good opportunity for a parent who's kind of decided. Let's talk specifically about some of the situations I run to up here where not everybody's made for the public school system, and it's very much a box that you need to fit into to be able to excel at that. So if you have somebody who's a very talented athlete and just gets bored in the classroom and doesn't do very well in the classroom, can homeschooling be a good alternative for that athlete?
Yeah, you actually just described probably a third of our roster. Kids who it just wasn't ideal for them for whatever reason, or they're passionate about baseball, or their family, their brothers and sisters used to homeschool, so they're going to try it, but that is an ideal fit. What you just described is a third of our roster. Yeah.
Yeah, because I can imagine there's plenty of boys I've coached over the years where they have struggled in the classroom, and it's been a very concerted effort in where I'll actually go in and talk to and get tutors and help them get tutors and stuff like that to help. And it's not necessarily because they're not smart. It's just, it's not who they are. It doesn't really fit that. And none of those kids did I ever express the option of homeschooling because I don't know anything about it. And I think a lot of coaches or people in my situation don't know anything about it, but it sounds like it's something that works very well. I mean, my sister lives in Wisconsin, and she has 8 kids, and she homeschooled all of them, and they all went to college.
Oh,
They all went to college. They all have great jobs. They all are very successful, and it's a I just don't know anything about it, but it's turning into, especially with access to professional teachers and whatnot through the internet and online homeschooling programs, it seems like a very viable alternative that will make a lot of more sense than going into the public school system for someone who maybe that's not the route that was meant for them to take.
yeah. To see an example of how quickly it can happen too, Coach, is we had a kid probably 2 weeks ago. He was not going to get a lot of playing time with his current team. He was a junior or is a senior. And we connected. He came to trial and said, yeah, give it a shot. And then he was a younger senior and said, have you ever considered reclassifying? He's like, yeah, I've actually thought about that. I said, well, it's up to you. But if you want to reclassify, I mean, it gives you an extra year. I guess you get a little bit bigger, another year. Every one of our 5 kids, we held back a year. We didn't necessarily reclassify them. Just when you have multiples, we have triplets. And so it's just a good idea. You're advised that's not a bad idea. So within 3 days, the reason I'm telling you the story is the school he was at was not a good fit for him. I won't get into the details why, but it wasn't a good fit. Within 3 days, the dad had figured out, we're going to reclassify. Here is the homeschool setup that I've got designed for you. It's a parent-led program. And it was all done within 72 hours. And this person they hadn't even thought about homeschooling 3 days before calling us. And he's got a whole system set up in 3 days. And he's an oil and gas guy. He's not an educator. He's an oil and gas guy who went to Texas Tech. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's insane and awesome. And one of the things that over the years, my wife and I have actually had this discussion since she's in the public school system and teaching and has been for a long time. The homeschool kids that come from homeschool into the classroom sometimes have trouble socially, but I imagine the baseball and team aspect sort of takes that out of it. It gets them, that is their socialization and their family away from home.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. We've got, what the average team is about 14, 15 kids. We're a little bit smaller rosters, so guys can get more playing time. But those are their buds, and that's practice. And you've got games. We've got roughly 4 baseball events a week because we don't have classes. But those groups, those pods of players for that socialization, you'll see like Jack and Calvin, they're always out hitting together. These different guys, these pods will go do different things together. They'll come and mulch together with me or, in their own group and whatnot. And so it's what I would say it was a perfect fit for our family in that we weren't running with too many people. We were running with just enough. And we had, this sounds terrible, we had a little more control as parents. I wouldn't call my wife and I helicopter moms or lawnmower moms, but we cared a lot and just wanted to have a little bit of control over, David and Joshua. Yes, go have your friend, but let's make sure it's with these. And so we knew who their buddies were, and we kind of had a general idea of what that is all about. And then the big thing, you alluded to it before, I should say, one of the big things we're talking about is the experience. Baseball is great. We want you to earn a scholarship. That's fantastic. We want you to come to know closer to Christ. Another one of the big things we do, you alluded to it, is the Father-Son Pure Adventure, which is the best day. We have probably 95% of our players and dads go through it. They call it it's a cataclysmic experience where father, son start off with a little bit of paintball, some Bible teaching, you're shooting guns, you're eating barbecue, you're shooting more guns, question, answer, more Bible time, question, answer time. There's probably 3 different question and answer times. The single best day, and this will transport. The guys who run this in Dallas have been to Boise, Idaho to do this, they will go anywhere. So if anyone who's hearing this podcast is saying, man, that Father-Son Pure Adventure sounds special, it is. It's the best single day I've ever had with my son. They have father-daughter events. Each of my daughters, where they live, one in Jacksonville, Florida is a nurse, another one's in New York City trying to make it on Broadway, and another one's in Tennessee. They have their little picture of us at this event, sitting in their room. It's a huge day. And that is, if there's nothing people get out of this podcast, is reach out to me or pureadventure.com. It is a spectacular father-son or father-daughter event. It's a game changer. It takes your relationship from here, wherever it is, to here, and then helps you build on that. So a little bit of a plug for those guys. Has nothing to do with TACA baseball, but it really helps define, what are we in this for? I mean, look at your daughter back there. I can see her, freshman in college, doing a great job. Your relationship with her is probably a whole lot more important than how she frames a pitch or whether she can get a bunt down when she's trying to sacrifice. Your relationship, and that's what that Pure Adventure helps do.
I love that. That is so cool. And that's actually a perfect segue into us finishing this. And this is where I allow you as the guest to share what you want to share. If people want to come and play some TACA baseball, how do they get a hold of you? If there's some other things like the pureadventure.com that you want to share, now's the time to share it.
I think the simplest way is, I'll keep it easy for people. If you just text me, I'm on the website, tacabaseball.org. My number is 214-632-6230. And I'm easy to find. Mike Ostrom, just type it in and Google me, and you'll see me on the TACA website. And I can answer any questions about any of those things. And one thing is, homeschooling is not for everybody, but sometimes it's worth a conversation to say, you know what? We perform some due diligence. It's not for us. We're not going to do it. And other people are like, you know what? It's not right for Jimmy, but mine, it might be ready. It might be perfect for Kenny. Kenny's 3 years younger. Can we call you in a couple of years? And we can give him some good advice on what works and what doesn't. We've done it for more than a decade, and we've helped 2 organizations here in DFW. We seed those teams. And so if you're not a perfect fit for TACA, don't worry. We can probably find you a home, if not here, someplace around the United States, because there's 40 teams coming to our tournament, and we know a lot of the entities that are out there, so we can help.
Well, that's really cool. I appreciate your time today. And if there was the one thing I would ask you to leave us with, Mike, is if there was one piece of advice you can give a parent or a young man playing baseball, why don't you lay that on them right now?
Yeah, for a parent, it would be during games, say very little. Just the smartest people, the smartest parents, the professional baseball managers, they don't cheer a lot for the kids at games. They're there to support them. They clap, but they're not giving advice. They're not coaching. For parents, I would just say, when I'm in the stands, just be quiet, watch, enjoy on the drive home, talk about the game, never talk about their performance and whether they won or lost. Hey, let's go grab a protein shake. Let's grab a piece of pizza. And I remember my dad taking me to the Hasty Freeze in Albany, Oregon, win or lose, every now and again after games. But it had nothing to do with my performance. It had to do with him loving me. So my advice to parents would be, love them and don't talk to them about baseball after games. And in the stands, just be Joe Cool. Cheer for other kids louder than you cheer for your kids. It takes the pressure off your kids. When it comes to, so that's when it comes to parents. When it comes to kids, the same thing I think that you would say to your daughter is, enjoy the game, have fun, but remember, who are you defined by? Your relationship with Christ. Jesus died for you. He loved you so much he was willing to die. Baseball, softball, it doesn't really matter that much. Do your best. Fail. Look at all the failures we've had and rattle them off. But kids, just enjoy the time and know that God loves you. Jesus died for you. What you do on a baseball field, 1 for 3, 3 for 3, you wear a golden collar, you get 4 strikeouts on 12 pitches, whatever. It doesn't matter.
I love it. I mean, there's no better way to say it than you just said it right there, Mike. All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on today. This has been a fantastic episode, and it's going to be a blessing to our community for sure. And that's it for today. Thanks for being here, Mike.
Thanks, brother. Great doing this. Can't wait to stay connected in the coming weeks.